home is where we feel safe and where we feel world will continue to be as it was. An illusion, of course, that these are things we need because we want to return to the beginning. Well, of course, the basic instinct to survive lend us a memory in places that are new, maybe interesting, but are not checked enough for us to call them safe. They are challenging, they are new, they don't have the connotations of continuity. We always want the memories of that place back, even if we are not there, we want to preserve. I think that it's a human instinct, like love, like desire for food, like the desire to sleep, preserving the beginning, a sort of a Cartesian beginnings of the map of the world is a universal human thing. The desire to preserve a sense of home, even if not physically, the memories of it is a universal humane thing which we all carry in our heart. We all know after Proust that objects have the power to remind us past sensation, whether they're smells, whether they're sounds, whether they're feeling of space, or of course, and most important, visuality. Things have power to remind us past, of course. So what we may say, but there is also a general thing in human hearts which enjoys this power of remembering. What cultures do when they react to this basic, simple reaction of human memory and heart is very different from culture to culture. What to preserve? Are we going to preserve relics or former relics and signs and symbols of political power? Or are we going to preserve little things and which children smell and which we taste and which in fact are more important for us? I argue in Museum of Innocence that we'd better preserve more from what is in the kitchen, of course, never neglecting what we learn in the school, because these things are intertwined. Really, it's so hard to preserve these things. It requires a total controlling a total system which is contrary to the way things develop by themselves. The sounds, smells, pictures, visions of daily life in a grand scale. This can only be done in museums, such as in my Museum of Innocence. I made it my business to keep some of the sounds of my childhood, a boat sound, how this kind of boat make its horn make what kind of sound, various sounds we see that I have heard in my childhood in Istanbul. We all hear those things. Every city has this little bit of a catalog of its own sounds. Then a population of say 3 million, 5 million hears these things. Then these boats slowly and slowly vanish and disappear, and these sounds also disappear from our lives. We don't even notice that we have not hearing those sounds. This, I think, is a cultural impasse which you cannot solve. There is a desire to preserve some objects, but once you begin to preserve them, they are cut off from their natural surrounding. In the end, you have to accept the fact that you cannot both preserve the object and keep it in its natural surrounding. And you have to, as you make that decision, you have to understand that you lose something when you preserve it. But on the other hand, it's a vanity to think that you will both preserve an object and keep it in its natural surrounding. When I say the museums have a little bit of a power to defy that, I mean that that generations vanish, but some objects stay. It's a romantic vision of defying death. They may not necessarily be true, because next generations will not have, those objects will not generate the emotions that we have when we are confronted with these objects. It is very hard, as hard as, even more harder than preserving the objects itself, to preserve the emotion those objects produce. You turn a corner in my childhood of Istanbul, say in 1958, you come across the ruins of an old church from the period of Byzantium, or you come across a 17th century dervish lodge wall, so forth and so on. And they are authentic, they are natural, but they are simply not well preserved. That, and there is also one part of me which said, my God, this wall is 500 years, no one cares. It may look natural in its surrounding, but on the other hand, there is a desire to preserve them too, because you know that poor neighbors are picking up stones or bricks from those walls of Byzantium and are building their own walls. The Istanbul that I described in my Istanbul book, the book narrative ends in 1973. Almost 37 years passed since my story stopped, and the city really changed, that it's not that melancholic anymore, that it's richer, more colorful, more attractive to tourists, and the balance of past and present has changed. It's a more modern, less picturesque city. It's not that black and white city that I experienced, heavily influenced by visually by the ruins of Ottoman modernity, old 19th century Ottoman buildings in decay, wooden houses that are not painted, back streets with old religious or monumental buildings that were not preserved, so forth and so on. Most of it is already gone, inevitably, or because of carelessness, whatever you say. I have seen enough in life that the desire to preserve things, not only smells, pictures, sounds, relics from our daily life, or even writing down little diaries. We all have this desire to preserve, while the force of new life, modernity, the change is so strong. There is no solution to these problems, but these problems address one of the eternal dilemmas of human heart. We both want to preserve, and we both want to enjoy the richness and attractive sides of new and the modern. There is no way out. We will be concerned with these issues forever.